Good morning. So it is Monday, a couple days after the Tour de Cure, which was Saturday, and I'm pretty psyched. But I'm going to tell you how my Tour de Cure went. I chose the 35-mile route again this year, and my goal was to smash the time that I did last year, which wouldn't be hard, seeing as how I had a few difficulties, but we'll get to that later in the video. But things went well. Things went really well. And you'll see shortly that the training that I paid for paid off. So here we go. All right, I'm on the trainer. Definitely trying to get warmed up so as not to die later. We'll see if this works. And we're off. All of us kind of bounce around a bit, trying to get the cleats on the bottom of our shoes to clip in, but that was the only sketchy moment of the day. Now, the top left corner is a graph of the elevation in gray and my heart rate activity in red. Top right is the layout of the course. Bottom left corner shows my speed and cadence, or how quickly I turn the pedals. And on the left side of the screen in the striped shirt, you see Brandon. Video that you'll see in addition to my GoPro footage like this, and he provided all-around support for the ride. Okay, back to the data fields. In the bottom middle row is how much power I put out turning the pedals in watts. Next to that is the percentage grade, and finally in the lower right hand corner is the distance that I've traveled. So we're traveling down the streets of downtown Columbia, South Carolina. A police car escorted us out of the city, and they stopped traffic at various intersections along the way. Sound on for this section of road just to give you an idea of how jarring it is to ride over these things. It really rattled the bones. Now on top of that, this car didn't get the memo that a train of cyclists were coming his way, but we all got past him safely. Coming up on the right is the Colonial Life Arena, where we have our regional conventions. Those familiar with the area know that College Street to the left is incredibly steep. Unfortunately, we'll be seeing that later. So I tried to not shoot out of the gate too fast and blow myself up early in the ride, but these guys were just going too slow. So I signaled to my friend Carla to pass them, and then I rode in her draft for a little bit to, again, try to conserve some energy. Now, my power goal was to be around 135 watts, but Carla wasn't going that fast, so I went around her to give her a chance to ride in my draft a little bit, benefit from my speed. To the left, we're getting ready to pass Williams-Brice Stadium, which is the home of the South Carolina Gamecocks. You never see the street this empty. So I kept pulling away from Carla on the downhills, so I decided to go on my own to try to beat my time from last year, to go a little bit faster. It feels so good to pass people. Now this kid in the red and white jersey that I'm approaching, Asher, I remembered him from last year, and he did a little speech as a diabetic for the kickoff dinner that they had last month. He did the 15-mile route with his dad last year, and this was his first time doing the 35 and by himself. So he asked me about what to expect, and unfortunately I had to give him the bad news that it gets a bit tough riding back. This couple, Cindy and Justin, I rode a few miles with. Justin took it as a personal challenge that I passed him, so you'll see his yellow jersey throughout my video. Here we are at the first rest stop, and after saying hi to Brandon and grabbing some snacks, Carla in the blue jersey, Cindy, Justin, and I head out. I was hoping to ride in people's drafts for a while, try to benefit from that, conserve some energy. But again, they were going a little too slow for me, so I set out on my own again. I still wasn't going as fast as I was aiming to go because my heart rate was making me kind of afraid of blowing up. My watts were only about 80, and I was hoping to do between 120 to 130. Per usual, Justin dropped his wife and chased me down, and he talked a little trash as he passed me about being slow, only to stop and then wait for her and Carla. Needless to say, he kept things interesting. On the right, I'm approaching another rest stop, but I was feeling good, so I passed it. And ahead is one of the many motorcycles who were on the course that kept us safe. He didn't realize I was behind him, so he slowed me down a bit while I waited for a safe moment to pass him and then the two riders in front of him. I got redemption on this road because last year I dropped my chain 3 times here, which led to a small panic attack with me leaning over my seat hyperventilating. So I stopped again at the same rest stop that I did earlier where Brandon was waiting. Carla, again in the blue, is a friend that I made at last year's tour. Last year I tried to ride with her and another couple before the whole chain problem, but they were going too fast for me and I got dropped. Not this year. I didn't stick around too long because I really wanted to try to beat my time from last year. So Brandon got some great shots of me here and along the way back. Now, this road surface was just awful. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the bricks, but it definitely rattled the bones in my teeth for a few miles. Carla called Brandon my personal photographer, and he really was. He flew past me here to try to position himself for some cool pictures up ahead. He said that I was moving way faster than he expected because he barely had time to get his phone up before I was on top of him for these shots. And there goes Brandon. And here comes Justin. This time he passed me for the last time. Since Carla was with his wife, he did his own thing, which he paid for later when his wife fussed him out at the finish line for ditching her. I passed this lady 3 times. She had to be in her upper 60s, low 70s. She told me she never stops, meaning that she didn't stop at any rest stops. And props to her for choosing to ride the 35 miles by herself. This lady on a city bike was really nice. I tried to ride in her draft for a little bit, but she encouraged me to pass her. She was happy to see me because she wasn't sure if she was going the right way since she hadn't seen anybody in a little while. Here's Brandon again, trying to get the perfect shot with the stadium in the background. Here I was so happy to see this rest stop because my quads were starting to ache and I needed a quick break. As we approached, the guy working the rest stop pulled out cold water out of the cooler for us. Bless him. So the lady on the city bike headed out while I was saying goodbye to Brandon. Then I quickly caught up to her to ride in her draft. I passed her, but I guess I was more tired than I thought because she passed me back. I never caught her again. This is College Street. Words cannot describe how awful this hill is to climb with 30 miles of cycling in your legs. My power was spiking to the 200s and my heart rate was climbing closer and closer to my max of 190. I was trying to keep my climbing power around 160 to be steady with my effort, and I was successfully doing it for a while. But I hate being passed, especially like I'm standing still. So I increased my power just a little bit, try to keep up with these guys. Last year, I was able to take a break at the top of this hill because of the red light. No break this time, green lights. But I was okay. I wasn't about to blow up. But it was one of those moments where I questioned why I paid to go through all this pain. So on the right is our cart witnessing corner, home stretch. One turn from the finish line, and the photographers were on point. It was a nice touch that they have volunteers that cheer you on at the finish line. It feels so good to hear the cheering when you're ready to fall off your bike. Brandon got a few nice pics at the line too. Even Justin was cheering. So my personal photographer, Brandon, did his job to the very end, supporting me the whole morning. So how did I compare to last year? Last year, I was on course for 3 hours and 11 minutes with a moving time of 2 hours and 30 minutes, averaging 13.83 miles per hour. This year, I was on course for 2 hours and 29 minutes with a moving time of 2 hours and 12 minutes with an average speed of 14.3 miles per hour. Riding with the slower group affected my average because when I was riding by myself, I was averaging over 15 miles per hour before that dreaded hill on College Street when I blew myself up. All in all, I'm ecstatic with how things turned out. Next year, 65 miles. Thanks for watching.